The phone pinged again. I didn't even have to look to know what it was. Dash plate wanted another body on the road. Another $5, maybe another $2 tip if I didn't spill the soup. It was 6 o'clock. The sun was long gone, and the temperatures were dropping fast. Thanksgiving Eve was busy, but a necessity. Everyone else was at home. I was in a parking lot smelling like old French fries. Just a few more, I whispered to myself. In the rearview mirror, Noelle blinked at me. She was awake, her eyes big, catching the street lamp glare. 6 months old, and she'd spent more time in a Honda Civic than her own crib. I checked the app. Red Chili House, 10 minutes out. I parked and got out, bracing myself against the wind. It cut right through my hoodie. I opened the back door and unclicked the carrier. It was heavy, and my back was already screaming from 6 hours of sitting, but I wasn't leaving her. Not again. The last driver in my area who left a kid in the car got reported by a concerned citizen, and Dashplate deactivated him before he was even able to get back to his vehicle. I hauled the carrier onto my hip, grabbed the insulated food bag, and marched inside. The heat inside the restaurant hit me like a wall. The cashier gave me the look. You know the one. Who brings a baby to a takeout counter at night? I ignored him. I shoved my phone screen in his face. Order for Thompson. He handed me over the greasy bag without a word. Back in the car, the phone chirped again. A banner flashed across the top. Thanksgiving surge. Extra $3 per delivery. $3. Wow. Somewhere across town, my ex was probably pouring his second glass of expensive scotch, warm and comfortable in his high-rise. He was probably paying his lawyer $300 an hour to draft another email about how unstable my living situation was. He spends a fortune to ruin me. I chase $3 bonuses to keep the lights on. What do you think, Noelle? I asked, buckling her back in. One more delivery? Then we go home and heat up some soup? The app pinged. Accept. I hit the button before I really even looked at the map. It routed me away from the strip malls and out towards Pine Lake. The roads got darker, the streetlights vanished, the houses stopped being houses and started being estates, set far back from the road behind iron gates and thick tree lines. Rich people love their privacy, especially when they're ordering takeout. The GPS voice droned on. Turn left. Destination is on the right. I slowed down. The trees were crowding the road here, thick and tangled. My headlights swept over a wooden post with two numbers nailed on it, 1422 and 1426. The driveway was split in two like a snake's tongue. To the left, I could see lights, a big house glowing in the woods. To the right, just a dark gravel path disappearing into the black. The map on my phone was useless. It just put a pin in the middle of the trees. I idled, foot hovering on the brakes. My stomach tightened. The woods felt too quiet. I'll call the customer, I thought. Just ask directions. The phone buzzed in my hand. A notification. You are falling behind schedule. Customers are waiting. I looked at the dashboard clock. Then I thought about my bank balance. $172. My rent was $950 and I was already a week late. If I called, they might not answer. If I waited, the food gets cold, the tip disappears, and I get dinged. Left, I said aloud, shifting gears. The lights are on to the left. I turned the wheel, the tires crunching onto the gravel, taking us deeper into the dark. I pulled up to the house and killed the engine. The silence out here was heavy. The house itself was massive, a white stone fortress with too much glass looming over the dark lawn. It looked like money. Quiet money. The kind of money that fueled my old marriage. The kind of money that's being used to attack me now. I sighed, the sound loud in the car. I grabbed the food bag, then popped the back door open. The cold air rushed in again. Noelle was still asleep, thank God. I unhooked the carrier, hefting it onto my hip. It dug into my bone, a familiar bruise by now. I crunched up the front walk. The porch light snapped on, a motion sensor that blinded me for a second. Drop the food, snap a photo, go on to the next one. I reached for the doorbell. The door flew open before I touched it. A woman burst out. She was blonde, thin, dressed in a silk blouse that cost more money than my car. Her face was a mask of terror, mouth open, eyes wide and wet. "Help me, there!" She didn't finish. A hand shot out from the dark hallway. It was thick, attached to a heavy arm with a rolled-up sleeve. It clamped around her throat, cutting off the scream. She was yanked backwards. Her feet actually left the porch. 1 second she was there, the next, gone. The door slammed shut. The sound echoed like a gunshot across the lake. I stood there, hand frozen in midair. My brain stuttered. A domestic dispute? A prank? Then came the sound. A loud crash, glass breaking inside, then a thud. Then a scream that sounded wet and stopped too abruptly. This wasn't a prank. I didn't think. I spun around, clutching the carrier so tight my fingernails turned white. I stumbled down the stairs, nearly tripping over my own feet. My heart was hammering against my ribs. A painful thud, thud, thud. I looked at my car. It was too far, too exposed. If I tried to buckle Noelle in, they would see me. My eyes swept the yard. To the left, a detached garage sat in the shadows. I sprinted towards it. The gravel was loud under my sneakers. I tried to run smooth to keep Noelle from waking up, but I was shaking. I reached the side door of the garage and I turned the knob. "Please be unlocked." It turned. I slipped inside and eased the door shut, leaning my back against it. The air here smelled like old oil and cold concrete. It was pitch black, save for a sliver of moonlight cutting across the hood of a vintage car. I patted my pockets empty. My phone. It was still in the cup holder of my car. I looked down at the carrier. Noelle was awake now. Her eyes were wide, reflecting the faint light. She started to squirm. If she cried, we were dead. "Shh," I whispered, my voice trembling. "I'll be right back. Mommy's coming right back." I tucked the carrier behind a stack of winter tires in the corner. It was the darkest spot I could find. I crept back to the door, cracked it open an inch. The house was glowing yellow. Shadows moved past the windows. My car sat in the driveway, 50 feet of open ground between us. I took a breath that burned my lungs. "Go," I told myself. I stayed low, moving fast. The wind whipped my hair across my face. I reached the driver's side door and yanked it open. There it was, the phone. The screen was still lit up with the map. I reached for it. A hand clamped over my mouth, tasted like tobacco and sweat. An arm locked around my waist to lift me clean off the ground. I kicked, my boots thumping uselessly against the car door. "Don't scream," a voice growled in my ear. Deep, calm, terrifying. He hauled me backwards, away from safety. My phone slipped from my fingers and clattered onto the floor mat. "We've got company," the man shouted into the house. "Delivery girl." He dragged me towards the porch. I tried to bite his hand, but his grip was iron. As he pulled me away from the steps, I twisted my head back. I looked at the dark garage. Noelle was in there, and I was leaving her behind. The smell hit me first, copper and gunpowder. The living room was a showroom, white furniture, polished wood floors, except for the man in the center. He was sprawled out, arms wide, like he was making a snow angel. His face was gone, just a red ruin where his head used to be. A pistol with a long, heavy silencer sat on the glass coffee table. "This is a problem," said the man holding me. His voice was calm now, terrifyingly calm. "Then solve it," the other man snapped. He was pacing by the window. Shorter, wider, built like a bulldog. A thin line of blood ran from his hairline down his cheek, ruining his suit. "We'll solve it the way we always do," the pacer said. "That's not the plan, Roger." The man behind me squeezed my shoulder. His fingers dug into my collarbone, bruising the skin. "Clean entry, clean exit. Now we have clutter." The man called Roger stopped pacing. He stared right at me. His eyes were dead. "So we sweep it up," The woman from the porch was zip-tied on the white couch. She looked like a doll that had been dropped. A blank face, a bruise blooming purple on her cheekbone. She was staring at her dead husband, but she wasn't crying. "Please," I whispered. My voice sounded small, pathetic. "I'm just a driver. I didn't see anything." The lie was automatic, survival instincts kicking in. The man holding me, the calm one, tightened his grip. Quiet. The woman on the couch looked up, her eyes focused on me. "She's a nobody," she rasped. Then she straightened up. The fear evaporated, replaced by something cold. "Let her go and I'll tell the police it was a robbery. Masked men." Roger laughed. It was a dry, ugly sound. "Now the wife's a hero." He kicked the coffee table. It skidded across the floor. "Nobody leaves. That's the rule." "Roger," the calm one said. "Control yourself." "Don't tell me to control myself. This was supposed to be easy. Get in, get Danzig, get out." He jabbed a finger at the body, then at me. "Now we've got Mrs. Danzig and little Miss Dashplate." I stayed perfectly still. I forced myself to be a statue. If I moved, I died. If I spoke, I died. Noelle, I thought. Stay quiet, baby. Just stay quiet. "We do this by the book," the calm one said. He sounded like a teacher explaining math to a slow child. "We finish the job, clean the scene, no connections." "The job is done," Roger spat. "Danzig is dead." Mrs. Danzig shifted on the couch. She looked between them, calculating. "I can pay you," she said. Both men stopped. "I was never the target," she said, her voice gaining strength. "Craig was the one skimming. I had nothing to do with it. But I can access his accounts. I can double what they paid you." Roger stalked towards her. "Shut up." "You're making a mistake," she said, faster now. "I'm worth more alive. Craig kept me in the dark, but I know where his keys are. I know." Roger backhanded her. The sound was like a whip crack in the quiet room. Mrs. Danzig's head snapped back, blood sprayed onto the white cushion. "Roger," the calm one shouted. "What, you want to negotiate?" Roger was vibrating with energy, pacing faster. "We need to clean this up now, Deacon. And we will." The calm one's hand was heavy on my shoulder, but smartly, not sloppily. The two men glared at each other. The air felt electric, heavy with violence, waiting to snap. Mrs. Danzig spit blood onto the rug. She looked at Roger, and then she looked at the front door. She moved with the speed of a snake. 1 second she was a statue on the couch. The next she was driving sideways, rolling across the floor. Her zip-tied hands scraped the hardwood as she scrambled towards the hallway. Deacon jerked back, surprised. Roger didn't hesitate. No thought, no pause, just reflex. He pulled a gun from under his jacket and fired twice. Thump, thump. The silencer didn't make it quiet. It just made it sound mechanical, like a heavy staple gun. Mrs. Danzig's body jerked mid-crawl, 2 blood dots blooming on the back of her silk blouse. She collapsed like a puppet with cut strings, face pressing into the floor. One leg still bent at the knee from trying to run. "No!" Deacon shouted. The room went dead still. I could hear the central heat clicking on in the vents, a clock ticking on the mantel, my own blood rushing to my ears. Roger tucked the gun away casual as putting away a wallet. Problem solved. "You just made it worse," Deacon hissed. His voice trembled with rage. "Now we have 2 bodies. Dead witnesses? Dead witnesses. What's the difference?" "The difference is contamination." Deacon ran a hand through his hair, messing up the gel. His perfect control was slipping. "The wife was supposed to find the husband tomorrow. Clean timeline. Now we have a mess." My legs felt like water. I backed up until I hit the wall, trying to disappear. Deacon looked down at the floor. The insulated food bag was sitting there where I had dropped it. He kicked it over and stared at the stapled receipt on the bag. He looked up at me. His eyes were sharp. "This receipt says Hall." I swallowed hard. The GPS was confusing. The driveway splits. Deacon looked at Roger. "This isn't even their food. She's at the wrong house." So? Roger shrugged. So, Brian Hall is waiting for his dinner, Deacon said, the panic rising in his voice. It's been 30 minutes. These apps track the driver, Roger. Hall is probably watching his phone right now, and he sees her car parked in this driveway. I felt the floor drop out beneath me. Of course, the app was still running. My phone was still in the car, a satellite tracking my every move. Deacon turned to me. Your car is outside. The customer knows you arrived. If he doesn't get his food in 5 minutes, he's going to call. Or worse, he's going to walk over here to see why the driver is parked at the neighbor's house. Roger laughed, a hollow sound. So we had a third body. Big deal. No, Deacon snapped. We stick to the plan. We clean the scene, but now we have to clean her too. Roger nodded at me. Where's your phone? In my car, I whispered. Convenient, Roger said. Come on, let's go get it. Wait. Deacon stepped closer to me. He studied my face like I was a math problem he couldn't quite solve. We checked the front seat when we grabbed you. My heart stopped. I saw your bag, Deacon said softly. On the passenger seat. Not the food bag. The other one. Pink. Little cartoon bears on it. I felt my face drain of blood. It's my gym bag, I lied. The words came out brittle. It's a diaper bag, Deacon corrected. He tilted his head. And when the shooting started, you didn't run to your car to escape. You ran to the garage. Why? I couldn't breathe. He was too smart. He was connecting the dots. My daughter, I whispered. I couldn't stop the tears now. She's with my mom. I swear. I just forgot to take the bag out. Don't lie to me, Deacon said. His voice was so reasonable, so calm, like we were having coffee instead of standing over two corpses. If there's a kid in that car or in that garage, I need to know. Loose ends sink ships. Roger's face twisted with dark amusement. Its loose lips sink ships, Deacon. Deacon placed his hand back on my shoulder, gentle, but with a steel grip underneath. We need to wrap this up. 2 bodies. A missing delivery driver, a neighbor watching a tracking app, and a potential child witness. You are a problem that is getting harder to solve. I understood then. I wasn't a person anymore. To him, I was just a math equation, and one that they were looking to zero out. Deacon's fingers dug into my arm as he dragged me through the front door. Roger stayed a step behind, the muzzle of his gun pressed against the base of my spine. Get the phone, cancel the order, and this ends clean, Deacon said, his breath fogged in the night air. I stumbled on the porch steps, nearly falling. The cold hit my face like a slap. It cleared my head for a second. All I could think about was Noelle in that garage, alone, getting colder by the minute. Move, Roger grunted, shoving me towards the gravel. We marched to my car. My fingers shook as I pulled the driver's door open. The dome light flashed on, exposing us like deer in headlights. I reached for my phone on the floor mat. Hello? Excuse me? All 3 of us froze. A man was walking up the driveway, middle-aged, balding, wearing khakis and a puffy vest. He had one hand in his pocket, the other one holding a phone with the screen glowing. Sorry to bother you, he called, his voice friendly. I ordered some food. The app says you're here, but it looks like you went to the wrong address. My blood turned to ice. Brian Hall, the real customer. He'd walked down from his house to find us dinner. Deacon's fingers tightened on my arm, a silent warning. His other hand dropped to his waistband. Just a mix-up, Deacon called back. His voice was suddenly light, casual. We're sorting it all out now. Hall kept walking towards us, squinting in the dark. Yeah, the driveways are confusing out here. Everyone gets lost. He stopped about 15 feet away, finally noticing the tension. Is everything all right? It's fine, Deacon said. My sister just got confused with the GPS. Hall's eyes moved from Deacon to me, then to Roger, and then his smile faltered. Your sister? He looked at my dash plate bag. I thought she was the delivery driver. I saw Deacon's jaw tighten. The lie was falling apart in real time. She is, Deacon recovered. She's my sister, and she's making deliveries. Family business. Hall nodded slowly, but his eyes kept moving between the three of us. He took a small step backwards. Right, well, I'll just take my food then. It's in the car, I said quickly. I'll grab it. I reached for the bag, trying to send Hall a silent message with my eyes. Run. Get help. But Hall wasn't looking at me anymore. His gaze drifted past my shoulder towards the house. They had left the door wide open. The foyer light was blazing, cutting a yellow rectangle into the night. Hall stared at the doorway. He stared at the woman's body crumpled on the hardwood floor just inside the entrance. He saw the red slick spreading around her. His face went gray. Oh my God, he whispered. Is that... Roger moved so fast I barely saw it. His arm shot out. No, Deacon started. Thump. Hall's body jerked backwards. A dark hole appeared in the center of his puffy vest. He looked down at it, confused, like someone had spilled coffee on him. Then his knees buckled. He crumpled onto the gravel. God damn it, Roger, Deacon screamed. He shoved his brother hard. What the fuck is wrong with you? He saw the body, Roger said flatly. He was going to call the cops. So we grab him and pull him inside. Now we have a corpse out in the open, Deacon yelled. I looked at Brian's body and I couldn't breathe. 3 people were dead and Noel was still in that garage. We need to move him inside, now, Deacon said, his voice high and tight, before anyone else comes. This whole neighborhood probably heard you. Roger holstered his gun. You worry too much. It's silent. It's suppressed, not silent, Deacon hissed. And he lives here. His house is up the road. When he doesn't come home, his family will come looking. That's when I saw my chance. They were screaming at each other, focused on the fresh body at their feet. The garage was only 30 yards away. I ran. My sneakers slammed against the gravel. Neither of them shouted. Maybe they were too busy arguing to notice. Maybe they just knew that they could catch me. The distance to the garage felt like miles. The air burned in my throat. I reached the side door, yanked it open, and slipped inside. I let the door click shut, and I stood in the pitch black, chest heaving. Noel? I whispered. Silence. Then a rustle from the tires. A hiccup. My hands swept the darkness, searching for the carrier. My knuckles grazed a low shelf. I brushed against something cold and hard. A rubber grip. A long steel shaft. A screwdriver. I didn't think. I didn't plan. I just grabbed it and shoved it up the sleeve of my hoodie, the metal biting into my forearm. Then my other hand found the plastic handle of the carrier. I touched her cheek. She was ice cold. I'm here, I breathed. Mommy's here. The whimper started low, a vibration in her chest. Then it crested. Noelle's mouth opened and she let out a wail that cut through the silence like a knife. High, sharp, impossible to hide. Shh. I bounced the carrier, desperate. Please, baby, not now. She screamed louder. She was freezing, hungry, and terrified. The sound bounced off the concrete walls, echoing and amplifying. I needed a bottle to feed her, but the formula was in the diaper bag, in the car. Then the garage door burst open. In here, Roger shouted. I backed up until my legs hit the workbench. I clutched the carrier to my chest, shielding her with my body. Footsteps crunched on the concrete. Roger flipped the light switch and then stepped into the garage, gun drawn. Deacon was right behind him, his face a mask of annoyance. You weren't lying, Roger said. He sounded almost impressed. Please, I begged. She's just a baby. Deacon stared at the carrier. He didn't look angry. He looked at her like she was a flat tire, an inconvenience. Give her to me, Roger said. No. Roger stepped forward. He grabbed the handle of the carrier and yanked. I held on, but he was stronger. He ripped my daughter out of my arms. I lunged for her. Roger levied the gun at my forehead. The barrel was cold against my skin. Back up, he says. Deacon took the carrier from him. He looked down at Noelle, who was screaming red-faced now. She's loud, Deacon noted. The formula is in the car, I blurted out. It's in the pink bag. Please just let me feed her. She'll sleep. I promise she'll sleep. Roger grabbed my arm and twisted it behind my back. He shoved me towards the door. Move. They marched me back to the house, Noelle screaming the whole way, the sound tearing through the night. I had failed her. I had brought her to a slaughterhouse. Then they threw me on the white couch next to the bloodstain. I looked at the center of the room. They had been busy. Mrs. Danzig's body was no longer in the hallway. They had dragged her over to the rug, dumping her next to her husband. It looked like a grotesque family portrait. But the floor near my feet was what told the story. A wide, dark smear of blood stretched across the hardwood where they had pulled her. Deacon set the carrier on the coffee table. Noelle kicked her legs, her tiny fists bunched up and raged. "What do we do with it?" Roger asked. "Loose end," Deacon said. My whole world collapsed. I slid off the couch. I hit the floor on my knees, ignoring the sticky warmth staining the wood. I didn't care about dignity. I didn't care about survival. "Please," I begged. My voice broke. "Kill me. Do what you want to me, but let her live." I crawled towards Deacon. I reached out and grabbed the hem of his pants. "She's a baby. She can't talk. She can't identify you. You can drop her off at a fire station. No one will know. Please." I looked up at him. I searched his eyes for a shred of mercy. "I'll do anything," I whispered. "Just don't hurt her." Deacon looked down at me. Then he looked at the screaming baby. Then at Roger. "We take care of them both," he said. "No witnesses." My arms felt light. Horribly, terrifyingly light. I watched Roger lift the carrier. He swung it a little too hard. "We split up," Deacon said. He tucked his gun into his waistband, smoothing his suit jacket over it. "You take her car with the kid. I'll take her in the sedan." Roger frowned. "Why separate?" "Profile," Deacon said. He was already checking his watch. "If a cop stops you, you're a dad with the baby. Sympathetic. If they stop me, I'm just driving a woman home. Boring. And if she screams?" Roger nodded at me. "She won't," Deacon said. He looked at me with that teacher-like stare, because she knows what happens to the kid if she does. Roger shrugged. "Where are we meeting?" "The spot. 2 hours." My mind raced. Separating us was smart. It was too smart. "She needs her formula," I blurted. Roger glared. "Shut up." "It's in the bag," I said desperately. "In my car. And so is the car seat base. It's latched in. If you just put the carrier on the seat, it will slide, and if you get pulled over, the cop will know that it's not safe, and he'll know something is wrong." I was speaking their language now, risk and exposure. Deacon paused. He looked at the carrier, then at Roger. "She's right. Keep the kid in her car. Keep it legal. We don't need a traffic stop turning into a felony stop." Roger rolled his eyes, but he turned away towards my Hyundai Elantra out front. "Keys," he demanded. I dug them out of my pocket. My hands were shaking so bad the keychain jingled like a bell. I dropped them into Roger's palm. I watched him walk away with my daughter. He fumbled with the carrier, shoving it into the back seat with no care, no gentleness. "Move," Deacon said. He shoved me towards a black sedan parked in the shadows. He opened the passenger door and pushed me in. The leather was cold. The car smelled like new plastic and mints. He slid behind the wheel. The engine started with a low, expensive purr. As we pulled away, I twisted in my seat. I watched my battered Elantra pull out behind us. 2 headlights in the dark. "Face forward," Deacon ordered. We hit the main road. It was empty, just black trees and asphalt. Deacon drove with both hands on the wheel. 10 and 2. Perfect posture. "I'm doing you a favor," he said after a mile. Roger wanted to do it at the house, in the bathtub. Messy. I stared at the dashboard. The screwdriver was a cold weight against my forearm. I shifted my arm, making sure the handle was ready. "He's an animal," Deacon continued. He wasn't talking to me, really. He was talking to himself. All reaction, no strategy. That's why I have to clean up the mess. That's why I have to think for the both of us. He glanced at me, his face lit by the green glow of the dashboard. "We're half-brothers, you know, same mother. I was the one who got the scholarship. I was the one who got out." He sighed, a sound of pure arrogance. "But family drags you back. You understand that, right? The things you do for blood." He looked at me like he was waiting for me to nod, to agree with him, to validate his genius. His eyes left the road. Now, I thought to myself. I didn't hesitate. I didn't think about consequences. I ripped the screwdriver from my sleeve. I gripped the rubber handle with both hands and drove it down. It hit his neck, a sick, wet sound like stabbing a melon. Hot fluid sprayed over my hand. Deacon screamed a gurgling, high-pitched noise. His hands flew off the wheel, clawing at his throat. The car swerved. The world tilted sideways. Tires screeched on the pavement. We hit a guardrail. Metal screamed against metal. My head slammed into the dashboard, then whipped back. The car spun, sliding sideways across the wet road before slamming to a stop in the ditch. Then there was silence. But then my ears began to ring. Smoke, acrid and gray, filled the cabin. I blinked, trying to clear the stars from my vision. Beside me, a wet sound, a gurgle, a wheeze. Deacon was slumped against the door with the screwdriver buried to the hilt in the side of his neck. Blood was pumping out between his fingers, black in the shadows. His eyes were wide, full of shock and confusion. His other hand fumbled at his waistband. The gun. He was reaching for his gun. Headlights swept across the windshield, blinding me. 2 bright beams cutting through the smoke. It was my Elantra. Roger. I threw myself across the center console. Deacon was still gurgling, clutching at his neck, but his other hand was fumbling for the gun. His fingers were slick with his own blood, slippery and unable to grab it. I slapped his hand away, and I grabbed the pistol and kicked open the door and fell out onto the wet asphalt. The cold air hit my face instantly. The Elantra screeched to a stop behind us. The driver's door flew open. Roger sprinted towards the wreck, his face twisted in a scream. "Deacon!" he yelled. I scrambled to my feet, my ribs burning, my head throbbed. I held the gun with 2 hands, pointing it at the ground. I didn't know how to use it. I didn't want to use it. Roger reached the crashed sedan. He leaned in through the driver's side window, grabbing at his brother's shoulder. Deke, look at me." I turned and ran. I stumbled towards my car through the back window. I saw the carrier. Noelle's face was red. Her mouth was open in a cry I couldn't hear over the ringing in my ears. "Get back here!" I heard Roger yell. I grabbed the door handle. He was charging towards me now. He had a gun in his right hand. He wasn't a brother anymore. He was an unleashed monster. I dove into the driver's seat. The keys were still in the ignition. I pulled the door shut and grabbed the wheel. Bang! The passenger window exploded. Glass pelted my face like tiny knives. I screamed, ducking below the dashboard. Bang! Another shot punched through the rear window. I heard the safety glass crumbling, raining down on the back seat, on the carrier, on Noelle. Rage replaced the fear. Hot, white rage. I sat up. Roger was standing in the middle of the road, 10 feet in front of the bumper. He was in a shooter stance, gun raised, aiming right at my face. Blood covered the front of his suit. His brother's blood. He was going to kill us. He was going to put a bullet in me, and then he was going to walk to the back seat. I slammed my foot on the brake and shifted the car into drive. Roger sneered. He tightened his grip. He squeezed the trigger. Click. No boom. No flash. Just the dry mechanical sound of metal catching on metal. Roger blinked. He looked down at the gun. The slide was stuck half open. It was a jam. He looked up at me. His eyes went wide. I stomped the gas pedal to the floor. The engine roared. The tires spun on wet asphalt, finding grip. The car lunged forward. Roger tried to dive. Too late. Thud. The impact was sickening. A heavy, meat and bone sound filled the night. Roger's body folded over the hood. His face hit the glass right in front of me, mouth open in a silent scream before he tumbled over. I felt a bump under the rear tires. I kept driving. I didn't look back. I swerved around the smoking sedan in the ditch. I saw Deacon's arm hanging out of the window, limp. I accelerated, 30, 40, 60 miles an hour. The wind howled through the broken windows, blowing the glass shards out of my hair. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely hold the wheel. My breath came in short, ragged gasps that sounded like sobbing. I glanced in the rearview mirror. Noelle was safe. The glass hadn't hit her. She was staring at the ceiling of the car, quiet now, shaken by the motion. "It's okay," I whispered. My voice sounded broken. "Mommy's here." It's okay. I drove until the adrenaline crashed. I pulled onto the shoulder of the main highway under a streetlight. My phone was on the floor mat. The screen was cracked, but it was still glowing. I picked it up with trembling fingers and dialed 911. 911? What's your emergency? There are 3 bodies, I said. My voice was flat. Dead. 1426 Pine Lake Road. Send everyone. Ma'am, are you safe? Can you? I hung up. I threw the phone on the passenger seat. Then there was a ping. The phone screen lit up, a bright, cheerful notification from Dashplate. You missed a delivery. Your completion rate has dropped to 87%. Remember, drivers must maintain 90% to qualify for surge pricing. I stared at it. I started to laugh, a dry, hysterical sound that hurt my chest. Blood was trickling down my cheek from a glass cut. My shoulder throbbed where a bullet had grazed me. I had killed 2 men who wanted to kill my daughter. I almost died myself. And Dashplate was worried about my stats. The phone lit up again. Another order came through, this time for Red Chili House. $9.75 plus tip. Do I accept it? I wiped the blood off my cheek. I looked at Noelle in the mirror. Rent was due in 2 days. Formula cost $30 a can. My ex was waiting for me to fail. The world didn't care what happened tonight. The meter was still running. I picked up the phone. I hovered my thumb over the screen. My hand was still shaking, but my eyes were dry. I hit accept. The GPS map appeared, routing me to the restaurant, 5 miles away. I put the car in gear. I checked my blind spot, and I pulled back onto the road. Just one delivery at a time.